tonight's notes are going to be on angle relationships. So let's go ahead and open up to the next available page. This will be page 5. So at the bottom of your page, this will be page 5, and this is going to be angle relationships. And I'm just going to be giving you definitions of these angle relationships. I'm pretty sure all of you have seen these before. If not, then this is brand new, but it is just going to be definition heavy. So the first angle relationship we're going to talk about is complementary angles. And complementary angles are angles that sum to be 90 degrees. So let's remember what the word sum means. What does the word sum mean? The word sum means adds to. So that means we have two angles that add to be 90 degrees. So let's put a little example on the side. We have this angle that has the 90-degree little square in the middle. If you ever see that, you know it's going to be 90 degrees, and I'll make a little note of that. And let's say that it's split like this. And we know that this angle right here is going to be a 32-degree angle. It would say something like, what is the complement to 32 degrees? Well, the complement of 32 degrees would be whatever this is left over, which is going to be 58 degrees. Because 58 plus 32 gives you that 90. So that's what complementary angles are. The next set of angles we're going to talk about are supplementary angles. And supplementary angles are two angles that sum to be 180 degrees. So it's similar to complementary angles, except now we have 180 degrees. So again, I want to draw a little example. And before I draw this, let's think about what 180 degrees is. Is 180 degrees going to look like half a line like this, 3/4 of a line, or the full line? It is going to be just a line, because that degree measure is 180 degrees. A line is 180 degrees. And then let's say that I split it like that, where I know that this angle is 63 degrees. And you would need to find the remaining part of the angle. So I want you to make a guess right now. What do you think that remaining part is going to be? That remaining part is going to be 117 degrees, because 117 plus 63 gives us that 180. So we have complementary, supplementary. Now we're going to talk about vertical angles. And the definition for vertical angles is a little complicated, so I'm going to write it down and then I'm going to explain it. It's two angles made by two intersecting lines that are opposite each other. Yeah. And I think I defined that a little bit complicated, but when I draw the picture, it's going to make a little bit more sense. It's two angles made by two intersecting lines. So let's start there. We have two intersecting lines. So that's two intersecting lines right there. And then it's the two angles that are opposite each other. So for example, this angle and this angle are vertical angles because they are opposite each other. And then also this angle and that angle are vertical angles because they're opposite each other. So in that picture, you actually have two sets of vertical angles. You have the pink angles and you have the yellow angles. Now the property that goes along with vertical angles is that those angles are congruent. And I'm just going to write vertical angles are congruent. That's the property that goes with that. Now I want you to take a second and think about what that word congruent means. Congruent means the same or equal to. Just as a quick reminder. So we have complementary, supplementary, vertical angles. These last angles I'm going to put on the same picture. Now I think last year in Integrated 1 you guys did talk about parallel lines cut by a transversal. If not, if that does not ring a bell at all, that's okay. I'm going to draw what it looks like. So I'm going to start with two lines that are parallel. And as a reminder, parallel lines never touch. So that's a line. And then I'm going to draw a line parallel. Okay, and I'm going to denote those are parallel by putting arrows in the same direction. That denotes that those are parallel lines. So I have two parallel lines, and they're going to be cut by another line. And that line right there is called a transversal. Okay, so I have two parallel lines cut by a transversal. When that happens, there are a lot of properties that go along with this picture. And I'm going to label each angle. I'm going to label this angle 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's just going to give us a way of talking about those angles so it doesn't get too confusing about what I'm talking about. So there are three properties that we're really going to be talking about. The first is going to be corresponding angles. Okay, so corresponding angles first off, they are congruent. So we have corresponding angles, those are congruent. Now, when you have corresponding angles, you know they are corresponding because if you slide them up and down, they line up with each other. So for example, angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding angles. Because if I take a piece of patty paper and I have this angle 1 right here, I'm just going to slide it down and it lines up with angle 5. So that's an example of a corresponding angle. What I want you to do right now is to find another set of corresponding angles. Okay. The next set of angles we're going to talk about are alternate interior angles. And let's just break that down for a second. Alternate. The word alternate. Alternate means opposite or different. Interior means on the inside. So we have something different on the inside. Well, let's start with on the inside. On the inside means it's in between these two parallel lines. So it's on the inside. So if we're on the inside and we're alternate, that means we're on a different side. So we're on the inside on different sides. So 3 and 6 would be an example of alternate interior angles because they're alternate on the opposite side, but on the inside. These are also congruent. And finally, the last set of angles we're going to talk about are same side interior. And again, let's break that down. They're on the same side on the interior. So again, on the interior, on the same side, so that could be 4 and 6. Those are not congruent. I should say not necessarily congruent, but they are supplementary. And if you don't remember what that means, you can take a look up at the top of your page because it does define what supplementary are.